First of all, I think your analysis was very straight line. History doesn't run in a straight line.
Kid, you cannot tell your neighbor he is stealing ducks when you are stealing frogs.
As High Commissioner, I was wrong. As Charandas Prasad, I reacted naturally how any person would have.
I did not come here for that kind of abuse. I did not come here for that kind of abuse. If you're going to go down that road, I'll walk off.
But it's all okay once they're talking. If they were talking, I could not have been here today.
You got ADHD.
I got that.
Calm down.
I think I've done enough in terms of taking our team out of trouble from losing.
Tomorrow, Taylor. That's good. I'm reading the script now, and the first person that comes to my mind to play a detective,
Yes,
but
the
an
Guyanese
erratic
Mikhail
detective, Mikhail Rodriguez.
Why an African slapping in young? Why a man and slap a woman? Look, girl, how you deal with that? You deal with that.
We must encourage platforms like this because it brings together different people and allows for discussions to take place in our country on a multiplicity of fundamental issues.
Kingdom, you apologizing for something you think I did is wrong. I don't want you to do that, and you should not have done that. Hello, good evening, wherever you are. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from Georgetown, Guyana. This is the Freddie Kissoon Show. And this, for the 2.5 years, this will be one of our special shows. We have our guest this evening, one of the most famous sons that Guyana has produced and whose name travels well all over the Caribbean and the world of sports. Our guest this evening is the iconic Sir Clive Lloyd. A street has been named after him, and most of Guyana would have traveled on that street sometime in their life. So, without further ado, we'd like to welcome Sir Clive. Our co-host this evening is the CEO of the Georgetown Cricket Club, Jonathan Yearwood. So, without further ado, it's an honor to be shaking the hand of a man I have looked up to when my father was a groundsman as GCC, the chief groundsman, Harry Kissoon, and I would see this tall, imposing figure at the GCC ground. I can remember two tall, imposing figures I remember as a little boy in the GCC ground, Garfield Sobers and you. Sobers gave me a $25 coin, I think, at one time. Jonathan, thanks for being here, and I will give you the honor of asking the first question of Sir Clive.
Not only that, your father was he an umpire too?
Yes, he was an umpire.
I remember him well. Might have given me out a couple of times.
Wrongly or rightly?
It's too far back to remember.
His the chief groundsman at GCC was Badge Menzies, and then he took over. Yeah, but before Jonathan come in, let me say this. What are you eating and drinking? You look damn well.
Oh, I don't know, the fish and chips in England, I presume. And the little pepper pot I've had here. Keeping me well.
Garlic pork and ham.
Oh, yes, well, that's to come.
We're not going to get in 1 hour of questions because there's so much to ask you. I will come in after Jonathan.
So, Clive, it's always a pleasure being with you, chatting with you. And tonight for our guests, my very first discussion with Sir Clive, as you would all know, Clive Lloyd was the gentleman that took West Indies cricket from not necessarily the doldrums,
but from lower heights to greater heights.
From where they were to the pinnacle of cricket for many, many, many years. this gentleman lifted the trophy, the ICC ODI World Cup trophy, for the very first time they played the World Cup, and the second time. So it's a great honor to have Sir Clive here with us tonight. And I will start my questions by asking about those World Cups. What was it like for you taking the West Indies team into that World Cup and then coming out as the victor, holding that trophy and knowing that multiple nations of 7 to 8 million Caribbean people were cheering wholeheartedly behind you?
Well, the point is that we weren't the favourites to win the trophy. I mean, you had Australia, England, Pakistan. They were the teams that were up front there. We were still, I had a very young side. I took over in 1974 against India. And then we won 3-2, a very close series. And so we had a lot of young players there. So we just thought that we would try and perform very well. But we really outdid ourselves in the sense that I remembered the game which gave us that impetus was against Pakistan. When the last player needed 56 with 14 overs to go. And we were there sort of thinking, well, this is it, because if we had lost that game, we'd have been out of the competition. And my accountant, Gordon Andrews at the time from Birmingham, came in with a crate of pale ale. He said, Clive, you're 66 to 1, to win this game. And so I put some money on you guys. So I thought he was, there's a new team. And I said, how could he be my accountant? Something is wrong with him. But anyhow, I kept drinking a pale ale after every run, and after a while I got quite inebriated, and because I drank about 8 of them, and when we won, and the guys were hugging and some crying, and we were just so glad that we qualified. And we knew from then on that something good is going to happen.
You had something strong with strange and new, and confident in that team.
Yes, and all those players were just coming through. Viv Richards and Gordon Greenidge, and they are all now gelling of something. And it was a tremendous scene. I can't tell you, there are so many West Indians there. And it's in the old days where the normal fan could get a ticket. The corporate hospitality took over afterwards. But, the fellas from trains were late, buses were late from Brixton and around London. And it was filled with West Indians. So we really felt at home. And when I think we lost 2 quick wickets. So we were more or less struggling. We playing against the champions, Australia at the time. And but myself and Rohan held on, and we had a pretty good partnership, and sort of saved the day for us of such. And we put up I thought it was a very good score when you won 290 something or whatever it was, and so it was a wonderful day. It was just. You feel that this was your day. And we made West Indians and other cricket fans really, they were proud to be part of this spectacle. And playing at Lord's, the home of cricket, it was a magnificent day, and a day that I will never forget, because you never have another first.
If I remember quite correctly, it was Derek Murray and Andy Roberts, that last pair wicket.
Yes.
With the 66 runs. I remember I would have been about 12 or 13 at the time, listening to it on the transistor radio, and every single run, yes, one less to go. And I could just imagine the entire Caribbean was behind our guys at that point in time. And what I do know is that after that, we all felt that we can do it.
Yeah.
We can do it. We got a team now that can do it. And we did it.
And that same innings with Derek and he was stranded quarter way down the pitch. So this is it, and the guy fumbled. And he got in.
Yeah.
So that gave us, even
luck was on our side.
Yeah. You have to have in one-day cricket, I presume. You have to.
Yeah. Lady Luck had to be with you.
Yeah.
It's not only talent, but Lady Luck had to play a little part in it as well too.
Well, I think that from that World Cup, we sort of came together because most of us stayed together for quite a while.
For a while, yeah.
And
that's the team that went into the second World Cup, basically. The nucleus of it was the same team.
Yeah.
So, and that carried us through to the second World Cup victory, which was against England, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And that was also something spectacular as well too.
Yeah, so, Viv batted him. Collis King did well.
Yeah.
And I remember he got about nearly 80. I think Viv got 100. And a guy from Collis played for Glamorgan. And brought it, I think it was £5,000 or something. And he said, I want to give this to Collis King because I think that he played a major part in this. So, a lot of people were watching our cricket.
Oh, yeah.
And we were sort of evolving. We were doing quite well. Our players were coming through. And even if the new ones came in and gelled pretty well, Larry Gomes came in,
And by then we had the four-prong pace attack.
Well, we didn't actually. What we did have was Julian, Van Bernholder,
Roberts,
and Boyce.
Keith Boyce.
Lance. We had Lance and Arthur Barrett, and that was our. Those were our 5 players at the time, and they got there until 1970 odd, and then we brought in people like Malcolm Marshall, Garner, Colin Croft. So we had a full complement of bowlers, really.
There was before we get into the third final, which we lost against India. There something my father always told me. And he always referred to you as Super Cat, which was your nickname. But he always said that you were the guy that selected players, that you had the eye for the talent, to see and identify the talent in a player and bring them into the squad and encourage the selectors to pick them. Now, is that true?
Well, it is, yes, because if you're captain, you want to have a team that you can manage.
Yes.
In all conditions. And I remember when we were going to Australia in 75, 76, I saw Michael Holding for the first time. He's just an ordinary bowler, but beautiful action. And you can see with a bit of training, he would be a star.
Okay.
And there was no 5-wicket haul where he was concerned, or even a 4-wicket haul in his bag of such. So I said to Clyde, listen, I think this guy would learn a lot playing in Australia, bouncy wickets, and so he'll get a bit of purchase from the surface. He wouldn't get here in the West Indies. And when we were about to pick the team, Clive said, listen, because he was chairman of selectors, and he said, listen, Clive thinks a lot of Michael Holding, and I agree with him. He probably would learn a lot by going to Australia. And he was the first person chosen, and that's not how we pick teams. So he was the first man picked because, well, I got
your influence.
Yeah, well, and I think I have an eye for a good cricketer when I see one. Yeah. And Michael came, learned a lot, and well, I think he.
Look what he became, huh? One of the all-time greats.
Has he written his autobiography? Do you know if he has?
If he's what?
Written his autobiography. He hasn't, but when he does.
Whispering something he's called.
Whispering Death?
That he wrote, So I haven't already. Did he mention that he owes his career to you?
Well,
He knows that?
I'm sure he does, but I'm so glad that he just did as well as I expected, because then you would have left with a sort of lot of egg in your face sort of thing. But he was a tremendous cricketer. He wanted to learn. He was there, and but he was always an athlete. He was a 400 runner at school. So he had that sort of athletic ability.
That's where he got the grace from, huh? That bowling grace.
I'm going to ask a silly question, but nevertheless, when you're driving on Clive Lloyd Drive, do you look up at that portrait?
I see it now because they only put that post about 2 years ago. I think Roger Harper and a couple of got this massive thing. Yeah,
it's a massive billboard, with your portrait in it. So
it is,
you got to be careful you don't run off the road looking at it. But how does it feel driving on Clive Lloyd Drive?
Oh, well, as smooth as ever. No, it's great to know that you've got such an athlete and they've done something of that nature for you, and that the people have accepted that you're someone who will give their youngsters that little extra, let them realize that there are things to be done out there and things to be proud of. And we've always had great athletes, actually, great cricketers too. Our first captain for the West Indies came from my club, the Mara Cricket Club, Maurice Pacheco Fernandes. He was the first West Indian captain. And we had Barclay Gass, we had Lance Gibbs, we had Richard Hector, we had Colin Wiltshire, Bruiser Thomas, who played about every ball game you could think of for Guyana. And Roy Fredericks, a member of our club. So when I tell some of these ministers of such, the people who've done so well for us, you had Moses Dwarka, you had Powell, you had George DePina, you had Rocky McPherson, Wilma Paris, you had Boy Blue, the cyclist, you had Boogie de Freitas, Mangle, you had Paddy, Laddie. All these are guys I watched.
Laddie Lewis, yes.
Yes, I watched them at August Olympiad at GCC.
Laddie Lewis was a great one.
Yeah, we had some terrific. And I told him, the president, and I said that I think it's time that we really honor, what's his name again?
Some of our past.
No, this guy, Mohammed Raja, had Raja Cup, one day competition and played on Sunday. And when we were coming from probably a night out or something, and you wanted a bat, and you knocked on Sir Raja's door and said, "Listen, Sir Raja, I need a bat for tomorrow, some pads," and he throw it down for you and you pay him the next day. And he did that for years. And Raja Cup, a lot of our players who became great players played in his trophy. And I thought that that is a man that needs to be honored. And I will be behind him to honor him, because
something should be named after him.
Something. Because he was an icon. This guy had this store for years.
Yeah, we all know what Roger Cup.
And we need to do something for him. And I hope that they don't forget that he is a major guy for us. The youngsters. How many you couldn't knock up Bookers or Forties and he willingly give it to you, and guys would pay him
his family can't want a better name to push his case.
And I know I have his son's number in Canada. The Whalers gave it to me to so that if there's a situation that you can do it, that he'd be ready to come and receive the trophy or whatever.
A lot of people looking at this program, we got a good viewership, and they want to know about cricket. But I'm not too sure if the aspect of your life that has been made public. So let's get in some of that now. What kind of music you like? What kind of music you listen to?
Any music. I'm a mood music man. I could go to a party or wear a bus or wherever, and I'd enjoy any type of music.
What's your favorite music now? Western music.
I like singers. I like a song that can tell you something, And
For example,
I used to listen to
rhythm and blues, soul.
Yes, I used to listen to a lot of jazz too. Fredo and I, so now and then, are the two guys who were a little different in the sense that we would listen to jazz. Diana Ross and all these people were people that we listened to, But the point is that if the mood takes you, you listen to something. I don't want to do one thing all the time. So, mood music. Once I'm in the mood, I'm going to listen to it.
Well, you're a West Indian icon, so reggae follows naturally.
Oh, yes, no problem. Yes.
You've ever met Bob Marley?
No, one of the things that was situation that I'm really sorry about, I never did. But I met, what's the other
Peter
guy?
Tosh?
Peter Tosh, no.
Whalers, Bunny Whaler.
The one that used to sing around we had this tree in the hotel compound.
It's not Ken Lazarus, not Boris Gardner.
Boris Gardner.
Boris Gardner.
He used to sing there
crooner,
every Saturday.
yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah. He used to sing there every Friday. And he had a wonderful voice.
Now,
Marvelous.
what you're a West Indian, you live in the UK, and after 14 years you've been here often, but this is the first Christmas you said since 2010.
Yeah.
What food Clive Lloyd likes?
I'm there again. I eat most.
The mood.
Things. Yeah, I eat most things. I'm a pepper pot man. I love pepper pot. Oh yeah, I'd cook up rice and all those sort of things. I just West Indian food I love.
You have somebody preparing that for you for Christmas?
Well, I hope so. A friend of mine invited me for Christmas. I hope he realizes that.
They have a big pot.
Oh, yes. I'll be training for that.
So how is Christmas in Guyana after 14 years? I know you've been here often, but Christmas has a special...
Yes, it's a situation where you can see people bustling and trying to get this and trying to get the right things and trying to get gifts and so on. And trying to get the right meats for the pepper pot, and you know what I mean. Yeah. Yes, it's a wonderful time. It's family time. It's time to. I haven't been to church in the last 3 weeks, so I'll have to make time for that.
What church do you go to?
I'm Catholic. I know.
But you're probably coming from St. Teresa's.
Right, but funny enough. I was brought up as an Anglican.
Not St. Teresa, sorry, Fatima.
Fatima, sure.
I know. But I usually go to St. George's when I come, you see. So.
Okay.
And you made the switch over from Anglican to Catholic?
Yeah.
So in England you go to Catholic Church?
Yeah, I do.
And when in Guyana, Catholic Church. And you haven't paid homage to the Lord in 3 weeks?
Yes, and I think he'll forgive me.
That will warrant a confession, of course.
Yes, I do. I have to put something extra in the plate.
It's a good thing our Lord is a forgiving Lord.
Are you planning your memoir autobiography?
No, I've got autobiography. I've got 3 books out. One with Tony Kosher, one with Simon Lister in England, and Trevor MacDonald. You probably know Trevor MacDonald from ITN. So those 3 books I have. But I think I need to to do something else because I think there's a lot more to be said.
About your life and your cricket.
Yeah. And how, we haven't really compiled exactly how we got here. We started here, but we got to this group. How hard we had to, what work we put in, people who helped us on our way and so on. And what sacrifices you had. You had to make a lot of sacrifices. So it is something that I still a book to be finished.
Okay.
If I may ask, now that you've touched on that topic, at GCC, at Georgetown Cricket Club, we recently had Alvin Calitran, and he wrote a book called Colorblind about his trials of getting up to where he eventually became.
Yeah.
And he was telling us about the difficulties of travel and how things worked out for him. Can you give us a little bit of ideas what some of the trials you went through as a young teenager coming up, or a young child coming up in Georgetown, learning to play cricket, learning to love the game, and what trials and tribulations you had to get to West Indies selection?
Before you answer that, Clive, where do you come from?
Queenstown, just Crown Street, just down the road there.
Okay.
I lived next door to Sewar.
Lord Sewar?
Lord Sewar was next door to me, and Patrick Singh, they were opposite me.
Pat Dayal, he's still around, I think he's 91 or 92. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Trials and tribulations.
Yeah, well, the point is that what we had was a lot of critics. And the point is that gave me that extra. I remember there's a fellow called Waterloo. He used to be a sort of critic, right? And I remember once the guy said, this fella Jackman, he's a wicket keeper. Do you think he's got far to go? I said, oh yes. He lives in Berbice.
He's got fun.
This guy was just a critic.
That's yours. Cricket to travel.
He had so many things. This guy will never die of a stroke. He's strokeless. He came out with some things, but beyond these critics, and I remember whenever the Guyanese team is being announced, Colin Wiltshire, oh, y'all still with him? Glendon Gibbs, oh God, when are you going to finish with him? And every name they had a comment, And they used to say, Clive Lloyd, he wouldn't make he's a Saturday afternoon batsman, because they talked about Bruiser Thomas, who made a lot of runs in Case Cup, but never made the big time, Colin Wiltshire and so on. So I had all that, in front of me. So you had to overcome that, And I remember when I went to Barbados, my first 1966 first game against Barbados, Charlie Griffith and Sir Garfield Sobers, and I was LBW for North by Gary Sobers, and same Waterloo said, Fred Wills was our captain. He said, I notice your boy, and he shuffled like cards. And then Sir Garfield turned to Barclay Gaskin, as you probably know, Winnie Gaskin, his wife. And he said, I noticed your boy didn't make any today. He said, it's not my boy, but it's a boy that I like. But there's a second innings. And I got 102 in the second innings.
So you shuffled correctly?
Yes, I shuffled correctly. And I sat out there, and there's the pavilion, then outside you have the chairs and so on. And I sat there and looked at things, and I said, you can't be such a bad player. These guys just bowled out England twice in the four test matches. And then I made 195 against Jamaica the next game. And you know, you felt then that you can't be a bad player.
How old were you at that stage? 19?
19, yeah, somewhere around.
I think you made the West Indies team at 19?
19 and a bit, yes.
So you made the Guyana team, what, a year before you got into the West Indies?
I played against Jamaica in 64. So 2 years after I you know, because we only played 4 games per year, and if you missed out on a couple. And when I made those runs, I'd missed out against Trinidad. And the selector from Trinidad said that he can't pick me. He hadn't seen me.
Correct me if I'm wrong. At the time when you were in stardom in West Indian cricket, how many batsmen wore glasses? They had many.
Yes, Eddie Barlow, Jeff Boycott.
Wore glasses while batting.
Yeah, and fellow from Warwickshire.
You will not be the first West Indian to have worn glasses.
No. What's his name from? Yeah,
Stephen
Bruce Peridot.
Bruce Peridot wore glasses.
Yeah.
So you would have been the second.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, of course you give it a brand name because you went far. You went far. You traveled far. But here what we have to get in. Journalists must ask you this. If not, that journalist is not doing his or her job. Who is your favorite cricketers category? So we start with batsman, then bowler, then wicketkeeper.
Well, I think Lance has got to be the person, the beacon, being my cousin. And he showed me the way, and I wanted to be like him, you know, and he was excellent in getting me where I wanted to.
So Lance Gibbs is your favorite cricketer?
Well, my mentor, more or less. But favorite cricket is Mr. Garfield Sobers, because of, you know, we all wanted to walk like him, we wanted to bat like him, we wanted to bowl like him.
Wear your collar up like him.
Trying to, if we could walk like him, we probably would. Yeah, but he was a terrific cricketer. One of the best cricketers I have played with and against.
But you haven't. You came near to his status because I grew up hearing you being nicknamed Super Cat.
Yeah. Because I was good in the field. I was, you know, Basil Butcher always wanted to field next to me. Because whenever it passes him, he said, "Yours, youngster," and you're off like a train. And as a youngster, the Basil Butcher tells you to go for a ball, you run for it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it was fun. It was great. I thoroughly enjoyed my time as an ordinary cricketer at DCC, and when it came to Test match, I was in awe. These are guys that I used to be looking at a tree, watching them over the side screen at Border, and then you rushed around when the game was over, and you had your book there with all the pictures. Oh, there's Valentine, that's right. You know what I mean? And then a year and a bit after, you're sitting in the same room with them. So, you graduated, you know. It was wonderful.
No, you certainly have graduated to iconic status in your country. You haven't tell us who's your favorite, well, leave out landscape, who's your favorite bowler? We're talking in a global context, not only West Indian.
Well, there's so many people that you admire. I mean, the point is that we had Hall and Griffith and Sobers and so on, and Lance, and I saw a bit of Ramadan and Valentine. These are people that there. But overseas, you had Lillian Thompson. These are guys that were excellent. And you go to India, Chandrasekhar, Bedi, and Prasanna. Prasanna, I think, one of the best off spinners I've played against. And some of the other, New Zealand, Richard Hadley, or Sir Richard Hadley. England, you had Underwood. He was pretty good on a wearing pitch. He can bowl. He would bowl a side out twice in a day, which he has done in county cricket. Richie Beno, I didn't play against him, but he was a terrific cricketer. There's a guy called Gart from Australia. We call him Gart. He was so strong. Fast bowler. Well, anyhow, I remember.
What about? I want to ask you this before he comes in. You've toured the world, and of course, your country. You would be. I don't want to ask you. I want to leave out Guyana. Which is the country you enjoy playing cricket best in? And you would have played in dozens of countries. Oh
yes, quite a bit. England, I loved England. And not only the larger grounds. They had some beautiful grounds outside of London and so on, in Kent, which are pretty good. But you can't beat Lords. You walk through those, down the picket fence and so on. You feel that this is your stage. This is your, the actors have their stage. This is your stage. You want to do well there, and well received by the people because the way you carried yourself, and I hope that I've done my bit in making my people proud on and off the field. And you go to a place like Australia. We played in front of 90,000 people at Melbourne Cricket Ground. You go to India, 80,000 people in Calcutta. And then when you came outside, you had another 80,000 people who didn't get in. And they would follow you to the hotel. And one thing about India, they make you feel that you're playing the right game. They look after you. We've had some, when we were there, it wasn't in big, salubrious hotels and so on, but they made us feel welcome.
Outside of Guyana, which is your favorite Caribbean country?
Yeah, let me see.
But I shouldn't say outside of Guyana. You may like another Caribbean country.
Yeah, the Barbados. They all have their little wonderful areas that we Trinidad, because they are very, very critical. The Trinidadians, because of Carnival, and they're always criticizing. And 1968 we were playing, and Tom Graveney was hooking Wes Hall off the front foot, and the fella said, "Oh God, Hall, you're bowling with your handbrakes up." So, you have this sort of thing, but if you're playing cricket in the West Indies, and it is really wonderful. I hope the youngsters are enjoying themselves, like we did. It was great. You didn't stay in wonderful hotels, but you're well looked after.
Now, the bowler you would prefer not to have him bowl at you.
Yeah. No. The point is not you want. Whoever, if the bowler is good, you want to do well against him. That was the thing, to do well against a very good bowler. I don't want, you don't want to be shying away from some bowler. You want to go out there and show your mettle. And that's what the sign of a good or a great player. You don't want to say, "Oh, I am afraid of it." No, some of them are going to be difficult, no doubt about that. But it's up to you to try and, get over that and play well. And when you come in, you say, "Yes, I was in a fight, and I came out on top." Because some days you have to bat ugly. The ball might be doing something, and it's not as going through as it should. And if you made 80 or something like, or you don't make 100, but on a better day that's 150. So when you bat ugly and you do well, you appreciate when you have to fight for your runs.
I have two tours that I always remember as a youngster growing up. First was the Australia tour in 1975 when we got a royal cuttass, the 5-1 beaten. And I think somewhere along at the end of that tour, you once said, never again under your watch, that we would go through that. But what went through your mind with that particular tour? I know you had some great batsmen because Fredericks made 100 against them in the 4th test, I think, which I think we won. And then there was a very controversial tour against New Zealand in 79 when they had a lot of extremely bad umpires' decisions, which if we had television in West Indies at that time, we would have seen and made big comments about those things. But take us to Australia first.
Well, don't forget, these guys were not great players then. They'd only just played against India.
Yeah.
And then they came to Australia. So they were Greenwich and
they were fresh.
They are very much so. They had never played Test cricket before they played in India. So everything was new. And the point is, nobody had talked about the umpire. If we had the third umpire now, we wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been 5-1. It could be 5-1 in our favor.
In our favor.
I mean, guys played back and the ball stuck in their pads.
And they got out.
And they're not out and so on. Thompson used to bowl this much over, about 6 inches over the crease.
And no ball.
No ball. And it was 8 ball overs. So if he bowled 4 no balls, it was 12. So the point is the umpires are just being, and we're telling them what is the situation. We had a guy called Collins. Oh, there's a Portuguese guy from he followed us to India. And Hansel was his name. And he cursed that umpire from the bottom of the stage right after, because he was just terrible. And we didn't have a third umpire to say, well, can we go upstairs? We just have to accept what they
didn't even have match referees.
But not only that, I remember there's a fellow called Alderman Clem Jones. He was the mayor of Brisbane and in charge of the pitch. He was the pitch.
The curator for the ground.
Yeah. And when the innings was over, I think Australia batted for us. We batted for it, and he repaired the cracks. Right. And the wicket is sacrosanct.
So they were batting on a fresh pitch?
Yeah. And all he had to do was wet and, not roll it, not wet. And Greg Chappell called me and said, Clive, I don't know if you want, we'll forfeit this game. He's messed up this, and I can't tell you exactly what he called him, but...
If I know Greg, I could imagine the words used.
But that meant that we would have won that first test. And we won the second test. They beat us 5-1, and we won the second test in 3 days. So you can't be that bad if somebody beats. So the point is, we'd have gone to the second test match with leading, and then having won that, there'd been 2 up before to play.
So we lost that series primarily because
of the umpire. It was, it was terrible.
Not because they were better than us.
No.
We've come a long way since then.
Oh, we have, because the point is now, and any time when we had our 4-prong attack, that's where we destroyed them. They were no match for us. But then we got Bernard Jr. got his hand broken. I batted in blood, took my guard in blood when Kyle Turan got hit in his nose. And so the point is, we took all that was, even in when we were beaten in, well, I don't think we got to say we were beaten in New Zealand. Michael Holding was distraught at that. Even in Sydney, he cried, and we had to go down and sort of said, no, man, because this was his first tour.
Okay.
Good. And he's now seeing somebody edge to second slip and stand there. They didn't walk. Because the fellas said the only time the Australian batsman would walk is when they're out of petrol.
That reminds me of Waterloo.
Yeah. So the point is that we went through a lot. And we didn't get to this stage because we took all this stick that came our way.
No.
We fought through all sorts of things, the bad hotels. I remember when we were in Melbourne, and I rang Stephen Kamash, he was the secretary then. I said, Stephen, we're beating these people here. And they have wonderful shorts with their crest on it. The shorts breathes them and so on. And we got these off-white shorts and so on. We had like the same, He said, well, order them. And I ordered 60 shorts. And had the West Indies crest on, and my boys were proud. And one of them, I think it's Gordon Greenwich, who was quite smart, got about 30 shirts, T-shirts, and he had and thought, class is class, form is temporary. And I said, then again, when we're still doing well. I said, Stephen, we're staying in some rundown hotels here, and these guys are staying in hotels where they have laundry service.
This is in Australia.
Yes. Yeah. And I said, there's a Melbourne hotel here, nice 5-star. We should be staying in that. He said, well, book in. So I book in the guys, and the guy's now walking tall because at lunchtime there's a lady playing piano. At dinner time, somebody playing the piano. We didn't have that before. The sheets were pristine.
No.
And, food was just different. You can get room service with a smile. And from then on, that's how we went about. We wanted the best, because it's no use saying that I'm a great player and I'm the best, and you're in these rundown places. So from then on, that's why I want these young players that we have now to understand that you can only do that. You can only demand those situations by being winners. You're not going to get good sponsorship. Nobody will want to play 5 test matches against you, or even 3. We went from here to Australia and played 2 test matches.
Yeah.
That is nonsense. That's 12,000 miles for that.
Yeah.
And when we were in the ascendancy, we got everybody wanted to play us often, because they made money off of us. And now they're sharing it. They have this big pile of money. They have 10 countries, 7 receiving 80 million, and 3 receiving 180 million. And I wanted to know why we should have our people sitting there, our representatives, and allow that to happen. When we, as I said, in the ascendancy, we never got any more money. We played 2 tours every winter because people wanted to make money for it. We should have asked for more money then. Now we're getting the same tariff as Afghanistan, Zimbabwe, Bangladesh. They're getting the same money as us. Whilst India, Australia, and England are getting 100 million more. That could never be right, and I think that we should have representation there asking for special dispensation. I've said it at CARICOM, and I'll say it here now, that we should say to them, we must have a special dispensation. We have 14 islands. We don't have one country.
Yeah.
And it takes 70,000 US for one board meeting. But in England, they all meet at Lord's. Some drive, some come by train. They have their meeting here. They don't have to pay for any hotel. other than if they want to stay overnight. And then when they finish, they all drive or go back by train. It can't cost £5,000 for the 18 counties that will come. But the point is that we sat down and allowed that to happen. The president of the ICC, who's a New Zealander, and his term is up, and he's saying that we should be dismantled.
Yes. How ridiculous.
What he means by that?
That we should be broken up. He said we're not strong enough. So we now be just like Hong Kong and these other places. Because now and we wouldn't be able to sustain a test team in any one island. You wouldn't have the amount of people to do that. Yeah. We have been we are 100 years, nearly 100 years at the ICC. It's only Australia and England could probably say that they're, or South Africa, because they were there from the inception. But we must have people there who want to put forward our points. We cannot.
Well, how did the West Indian board react to that?
Just like nobody, they just let it go.
I don't think they've made a statement on that yet.
Yeah.
I haven't read any statement on it. I read the ICC's outgoing chairman statement about it, and he said it after his term in office was up. He didn't say it as he was chairman. He said it as he was leaving office. But West Indies have not. I have not read anything saying that West Indies have made a reply to that statement. What I do know, back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, the West Indies were the most watched team by all the cricketing nations after their home team. In other words, the Indians, the Australians, the English all watched West Indies after their home team. So if England were playing India and West Indies were playing Australia, when they finished watching England, they would watch West Indies, Australia, because they wanted to watch the West Indies play.
So Clive, do you think Vanilla is a special talent?
Oh yeah, no doubt about that. He is tremendous cricketer, and I would like to see him helping our youngsters around here, because he can bat. It's not all, he knows about the game, and we keep throwing all our players elsewhere, and we're asking other people from other countries that we destroyed to come and help our cricket. We have some of the best fast bowlers ever. Do we have a school where some of these guys could impart the knowledge? No. We have some of the... I remember it was... I think it was an English guy, and he was in the West Indies batting. They had a practice session, and he said a youngster was telling some guy about batting, and Gordon Greenidge was looking on at the practice. He said that should be the other way around. Gordon Greenidge should be telling people about that. But we're not using the talent that we have. I don't know why. And I think that we're spending a lot of money employing. I don't mind employing other people, but I am not seeing any reciprocal thing. I don't see, when I look at the IPL, quite a few of our players coaching anybody. I think if it should be, if you can come here, and we should be able to go there and do something. We have guys who are good enough to coach people. And until we do that and harness the talent we have, we're going to be down there. And the point is, we have all these young players now doing quite well, earning a fair amount of money, but not playing for the West Indies.
Do you think T20 is destroying West Indian Test?
Well, it is destroyed more. It's good. It is wonderful. I would never, ever sort of decry any player that makes money where cricket is concerned. But the point is that you must give back something to the people who got you there. You didn't just You know, you had to be nursed up there. When is enough enough? I don't know. Some of these guys are getting $2 million US for one T20 tournament. Mm-hmm. Good. That's
10 weeks.
one.
2 million US?
That's
US,
10 weeks.
yes.
Yeah. IPL is 10 weeks.
Some
That's half a
1.5
billion Guyanese dollars or more.
Right. So that's only for one. Huh? That's one.
One
We're
tournament.
talking about 5 years. We're talking about one tournament for this year. And I'm saying that if you earning that amount of money, surely when you come to play for the West Indies, you're not playing for nothing. You're playing for money too. You got to get a contract. You're getting people getting contracts, and you got to probably some getting 250,000. I don't know. It might be more, might be less. But at least you don't have to play any cricket. You have that as a contractual arrangement. Mm-hmm. I think that the T20s destroyed our cricket in the sense that we don't have the population the other people have. India's got 1.4 billion. They can have 7 teams that are good enough to play. You have Pakistan, with a lot of people.
Something million.
Australia, a lot more people.
30 million.
You have Sri Lanka.
UK, 60 million. Huh?
Right. And
Bangladesh, 200 something million.
The only country that is probably at the same population as that would be New Zealand. Good. But they still want to play for their country. The other places, England has just decided that they only give NOCs, 12 NOCs, to play in franchise cricket. Because they want to protect their cricket too. They want to have youngsters play. And look how well they're doing. They have quite a few of the young players who are making hundreds in test matches. How many test matches have we played? We haven't played a lot because nobody wants to play against a team that is not strong enough. And we need somebody there at the West Indies Cricket Board got to put the foot down and said, no, enough is enough.
Is money the problem? Yeah.
Well, it is.
Some small economies, some small economies.
If in an island situation, if you're getting that sort of money, you're going to go after it. But the point is, we have to sit down with our players like New Zealand did and say you can play in different franchising. But when we have our cricket, we want you to be here. And they signed a 5-year deal.
Yeah.
But I am the last person to tell anybody that, listen, I don't want you to go there. I don't want anybody to say that you're taking money from or taking bread out of their mouth. But the point is they're doing very well. Some of these guys play 4 of those things and they'll be well off for the rest of their life. So you can still put back that little reserve. We have 5 million people in different walks of life. There's just a small cadre of people who will be playing sport, different types of sport. And cricket is just that little section there. So if we lose players all the time, that's how all our youngsters will be learning on the job. And they will not rise as quickly as they should.
Jonathan?
As we're talking about money and cricketers, there is something that has been on my mind for quite a while now. These players that go and play franchise cricket, they should, and I think there is with IPL, there is a part of the contract that says some amount of money should come back.
Yeah.
I think IPL sends it to the cricket board of control of the country that you belong to. Well, I disagree with that because the cricket board of the country you belong to does not produce any cricketers. The clubs produce cricketers. So a percentage of that money, some could go to the board, but some should be coming back to the club that produced that cricketer.
But that is what.
But that's not happening.
Happen.
That's not happening.
No.
It goes to the board, and the board does not siphon that money down.
And that would help the club.
To produce more cricketers.
Right? the clubs then would be here instead of here.
Yes.
Because they're getting a lot of, a percentage of that 2 million. It's a fair amount of money.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in Guyana. And I just feel that something serious, so we have to make a serious move to the ICC and make a presentation that we are not getting the right end of the stick here.
Let's talk as time is going. We have 2 minutes more. Let's talk about your life since cricket. You have enjoyed what you're doing since cricket?
Oh yes, I've done quite a lot of stuff.
Must be quite a lot, yeah.
Well, I refereed. I've been chairman of cricket of the ICC. I've managed West Indies teams and so on. And I'm here now trying to improve our cricket and our facilities. We want to have the best facilities for our cricket. We have the money to do so. We have the stadiums. I'm trying to help John with
the GCC.
GCC, because I don't want to. That's tradition. You don't give away tradition. Did Trinidad give away Queen's Park? Did Barbados give away Kensington over?
It's 100 years in the making.
Right. Did Sabina Park got thrown away? No, they've kept that. Right. We need to keep that. And the other thing I want to do is to have that GFC that should be our national stadium. I watch all our great players play at Border, at GFC. When we had the first football team, West Indian football team, England in 1958, Guyana had 4 representatives. We had some terrific footballers. Some of them died in poverty. I mean, it is, to me, we need to start looking at our sport in a more serious manner. There's a lot going around, and I think that sport could be buoyant in this country if we attack it in the right manner.
So Clive, our way to say our time has come. It was indeed an honor as a media operative to be sitting next to you, talking to you.
It's a pleasure, sir. Nice meeting you. Because I know your father quite well.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry that you have you a couple of times. Thanks for watching at us for this Christmas holiday. You were watching one of the great names in West Indian cricket and world cricket, and a man who has become an icon, knighted with a street named after him. We will always remember this generation and next generation the name Clive Lloyd. Remember the name? Remember that incident? Remember the name? Well, remember the name, Clive Lloyd. Happy holidays to you as we wind down in the holiday season.
Merry
Catch
Christmas.
you later. Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas to all.
So Clive wants to say Merry Christmas to everybody.
Merry Christmas. Have a great festive season.